mynews.studio.
Solar panels now actually outnumber coal stacks. Renewables have just crossed 40% of global electricity generation. The big question now is, what comes next?
Today's date is October 24th, 2025. The world just reached a milestone. Over 40% of electricity is now coming from renewables, mainly solar and wind. That isn't just a headline. It signals a fundamental shift in how we power almost everything. But how did this happen so fast?
Honestly, it's the scale and the speed that stand out. In just 2024, global solar capacity jumped by 32%. That's the biggest annual increase we've ever seen. Most new installations were solar, but wind grew quickly too, especially in China, the US, Brazil, and India. What drove this? Record investments, cheaper technology, and strong policies. China, in particular, added more than half of all new renewable capacity last year.
That scale is hard to wrap your head around. Why is China so far ahead? Is it just because of government mandates?
It's not only about mandates. China set aggressive targets, but they paired that with access to cheap financing and simpler permitting. It's a strategy other countries are watching closely. The EU and US also posted record growth, but China's ability to scale is unique. And it's not isolated to the biggest economies. There are now 7 countries where more than 99.7% of electricity comes from renewables.
That's nearly total reliance. Does that mean a full transition to renewables is already feasible? Or are there still major challenges we're not seeing?
Technically, a full transition is possible, but the picture is far from uniform. Asia, especially, is leading with new additions. Meanwhile, Africa and parts of Eastern Europe are lagging. The reasons? Infrastructure gaps, less investment, and policy delays. So the real question is, how do we help those regions catch up?
So what's worked to speed up adoption in places where renewables have lagged?
Effective policies have been key. Things like feed-in tariffs, renewable portfolio standards, and auction-based systems. They give investors more certainty and help drive costs down. Direct subsidies, tax credits, and green loans all play a role too. Plus, international climate finance and development banks help reduce risk and pay for much-needed grid upgrades, especially in emerging markets.
But even with all this growth, experts say we're still not quite on track to meet the COP28 target of tripling renewables by 2030. What's slowing things down now?
Integration and storage are the main bottlenecks now. Adding more renewables is one thing, but storing that energy and moving it where it's needed is another challenge entirely. Long-duration storage, smart grids, and flexible demand responses, those are all gaps. If we don't accelerate progress on those fronts, we could be short by as much as 800 gigawatts by 2030.
That's a significant shortfall. And this shift isn't just technical, right? What about communities that have relied on coal, oil, and gas?
There's a big social dimension. Regions built on fossil fuels are facing real economic shifts. Governments are starting reskilling programs, investing in new industries, and using green bonds or carbon pricing to support the transition. Social safety nets and community engagement are essential to avoid backlash and keep people involved.
And as renewables expand, what changes for global energy markets and geopolitics? Are we looking at lower prices or just a new set of winners and losers?
It's really both. In many places, demand for fossil fuels is dropping, which can lower prices. But that also brings instability to regions that depend on those industries. At the same time, countries that lead in renewables are gaining more influence over global energy decisions. So it's a shift in power, both in the literal sense and politically.
So this is much bigger than just clean energy. We're talking about economic and political changes, new jobs, shifting industries, even different international relationships. The speed of this expansion shows what's possible with coordination and investment. But the transition isn't finished yet.
Exactly. This milestone is worth marking, but the real challenge is keeping up the momentum and making sure no region is left out. The next 5 years will tell us if we can meet climate goals or if we fall short.
That sums it up. Renewables have overtaken coal for the first time, but the transition is only halfway there. So how do we close the remaining gaps and manage the impacts on people and economies?
That's what we'll keep tracking. Thanks for listening. This episode was produced by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.